Wherever there is a human being, there is a mind. Without mind, you cannot do anything.
The anxiety is become very common word today.
Maybe sometime because of parents or maybe because of a peer circle. A student might have a LD, like a learning disability or a low IQ. So they feel it just that a child is being lazy about it. In India, for per 1 lakh almost people, there's one psychologist available. All people who come to a psychologist or psychiatrist are not mad. They can only work on their behavior and emotion.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining Thinkly's Higher Education and Career Community. We are a community of like-minded people who want to know more about higher education and career opportunities. And hence, we invite well-known personalities or subject matter experts to decode and expand our knowledge and awareness. Here we discuss career domains of higher education, admission processes, and much more. At the onset, I thank Thinkly, a platform that integrates all of us together. From higher education to business and from business to philosophy, Thinkly covers everything for us. And I'm sure many of us have joined them in this knowledge and wisdom yatra for the same. My name is Vijay Sanavane. I'm a higher education consultant and I help students to get into world's top 100 universities with scholarship. I'm also the host of Thinkly's Higher Education and Career Community. Thank you all for supporting us in this particular mission. And please also help us connect with more and more people. Invite your friends, families, and acquaintances, so that they can also, be a part of our community. Today, we are going to discuss a very important domain called psychology. Psychology, I feel, is a universal domain that touches all aspects of life, whether coping up with stress or developing our capacities or making us happy or driving productivity in business, life, sports, or and the list can just go on. I'm sure many of you must have also noticed that psychology has transformed significantly in the recent years. Emerging fields like positive psychology, business psychology, neuropsychology, forensic psychology, sports psychology, etc., are gaining a lot of impetus. They are gaining a lot of prominence. Concurrently, we are living in a VUCA world, which is more volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, which is, and the importance of managing mental health for peak performance, whether you are a student or a professional, it has been, has never been more critical. So we demand, or we rather require psychology, I think, a much needed thing in our life today. And therefore, I always say that psychology is truly for everyone, right? We just cannot escape from psychology. Today, we have one such prominent personality who can help us expand our knowledge and opportunities in psychology as an important career branch. Anuradha Bhave. Anuradha is a clinical psychologist and a psychotherapist with decades of expertise. She also uses effective therapeutic approaches such as REBT, that is rational emotive behavioral therapy, CBT, that is cognitive behavioral therapy, and DBT, that is dialectical behavioral therapy. And these therapies in itself are very confronting technologies and they really help us manage intense emotions. And she also work on trauma focused therapy. Whether you're a recent graduate or a high schooler, or if you are someone who's considering career change, Anuradha will definitely shed light on the existing world of psychology as a career, psychology careers. And we will discuss specific roles, educational pathways, even day to day life, of a psychologist. So, welcome, Anuradha. Welcome to Thinkly platform, and thank you for joining us. We are really looking forward to this particular session. Okay, so well, Anuradha, let me start asking you just give us a brief overview of what psychology is and why it is so important field of study.
Yes, definitely. So the word psychology itself suggests that psychology is study about human mind. And in one single line, if I want to explain, wherever there is a human being, there is a mind. And without mind, you cannot do anything, whether it is your personal life, professional life, anything. So psychology helps us to understand more better behavior pattern, how we think, how we feel. Hence, it is important to learn, study, and know more about the field of psychology.
Uh, I think for a very long time, we known the traditional branches of psychology, that is counseling psychology, clinical psychology, industrial psychology. But I think all these, I mean, as a field, as I was saying, that have evolved over a period of time. And as the industry demanded, or the community as such is demanded, circumstances demanded, they've really evolved. Okay. And as I was saying, that there are now new branches like positive psychology, sports psychology, you have neuropsychology, forensic psychology, etc. If you can just give us, like, as to how these branches have evolved and how they are different from the traditional branches.
Yes. So traditionally or initial phase, there was only 4, 5 branches like a clinical counseling, industrial psychology. But as you said, now there are different branches specific to the problem and specific to a specific area or specific requirement. For example, now the industrial psychologist people can work related to a HR because they work with the HR, labor law, HR qualities and HR work. Or for example, there is a branch which called as a developmental psychology, which used to look at the milestone and developmental stage of a child. Now that has developed into more of a detailed psychology, like a school psychology in the future, or something like the cognitive problems like autism or something like that. So this problem has been tackled with the specialization in psychology. Another thing with the cognitive psychology, now they have developed the neuropsychology, which will help us to understand brain related disorders and a problem like a Parkinson. Also there is a abnormal and clinical psychology part, which look into the clinical picture or some mental disorder. So now the emerging branch is forensic psychology or criminal psychology to understand criminal behavior pattern or to do some personality test to understand their pattern. So these are the emerging field of psychology. Then sports psychology is very much talked subject nowadays. How to motivate and how to stay positive and how to work with the rejections or a failure in a sports. So sports psychology is one of the emerging branch of a psychology, and it's new compared to a traditional psychology.
Yes, yes. And I think India is also emerging as one of the sports capital in the
Yeah.
world. Very recently, the performance in the Asiad Games, the first time ever that we cross a medal tally over 100. I think that's a very positive sign.
Yes.
And I feel that, going forward, sports as the industry is going to create a lot of impetus, and I'm sure we will require a lot of sports psychologists as we move forward. Yeah,
To set
right.
a mindset about the match or about the exam or a sports, there you need a person who will have expertise to take any good or bad experience. So
Correct, correct. So how to handle failures, how do you, enhance your performance
yeah,
to a next level? I think psychology will play a very, very critical role. Yeah,
yes,
because with 142 crore population, I don't see any challenge in talents. Now, since corporates have also taken a lot of interest in the sports,
yes,
and I'm sure that, going forward, we can have a lot of a scope for a sports psychology or a sports medicine, etc. Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Now, Anuradha, I think you talked about developmental psychology a little bit. So I just wanted to understand more from you on this development side of it, because our in our audience we also have a lot of people, a lot of students who are in the high school. They are like, I mean, so they're dealing a lot of challenges of, yes, they have a lot of performance,
Pressure.
I would say pressure to perform.
Mm.
Uh, the anxiety is has become very common word today.
Yes.
Students are undergoing a lot of stress, and I think you do a lot of work on that
Yes.
side. So if you can just give us some kind of an overview about it as to what you do and what has been your observation about these challenges related to students, especially. Yeah.
Yes. So related to student, as we can see, the world is much more competitive than last 10 years or 20 years. So there's a lot of competition. There is a lot of need to complete the exams and get into the good college and everything. And I feel on top of or add on to that, there's a lot of factor which plays as a social media, right? Where people or a student needs a lot of approval from the social media, right? So it makes them feel more anxious and more need of to perform better. So students who are having a lot of stress about their exam or anxiety, how they are performing, maybe sometime because of parents or maybe because of a peer circle, right? How to perform, and then they sometimes feel depressed, they get stressed, or sometimes they might lack into some neurodevelopmental techniques, like people student might have a LD, like a learning disability or low IQ, but no one has done any psychometric test about it, so they are not aware. Maybe a parent and a student, him or herself, so they feel it just that a child is being lazy about it, but it's not lazy. Sometimes some other problem like attention deficit problem or learning disability or some other behavioral components are there, and because of that child is not able to focus, concentrate, or score more marks. So this factor should all parents and children or a student should consider if you are not able to study well, or any performance you are facing that, oh, initially it was good, now it is not helping, or now you are not able to getting equipped mark as what you are getting earlier. So these are the common problem which I see in day-to-day basis.
So what I draw from here is that you feel that yes, there can be various range, or there can be a lot of, I mean, different shades of problems. We should not ignore. Parents should not ignore. Even students need to raise their voice, and we need to have a proper diagnosis. There are, I think, systems and tests that are available, and they should take a help of psychologists to even take care of these challenges. This is what you're saying, right?
Yes, yes, we have to look
Okay.
at the aptitude of a student. Only I feel there's an interest in specific field. This is something I tell to my clients, when they just lost their interest, or, they fail, or they don't feel like going to the school or college. We need to see how much IQ is a one part, but is there they have the aptitude to do that or ability to do that type of a task. Interest is a different. Interest can be developed and it can go and up and down. But aptitude is your inner quality, which we need to focus more, so there will be less failure and less extreme mental health conditions in the students.
Yeah, very true. And it's very common that to run after popular branches,
Yes.
and that also adds up to a lot of stress. And as a career counselor, I also come across with this particular challenge. But as you rightly pointed out, it's very important that they need to really evaluate, screen themselves about their personalities, their career interests, motivators, skills and abilities, aptitude, and so that they must choose the right option for themselves, which can help us, I mean, rather help them reduce the stress at least, and they can enjoy much, I mean, much in a better fashion to do their studies and can scale good performance. uh, okay, so another, let me also ask you one very important or a pertinent question, which I think most of the students or even parents are going through, is too much of exposure to the social media. It's a very common complaint that students are not in a position to concentrate and things like that. So, what is your take on this? How can student or parents approach this particular challenge?
So if you see that clearly post-COVID or post-lockdown, there is an increased amount of screen time, right? So we need to understand as a parent that, after our basic need, most of us, what is our fourth or fifth need is a screen, like a laptop or a mobile. And it is like something like which we all take a help or use on a daily basis. But when it comes to my child or a student, we say that don't use it. But what the child or a student is seeing that, oh, my father or mother using mobile and laptop so frequently. So what's wrong in it? So child is not understanding, is there anything wrong in it? Because I'm seeing everyone is using technology with the laptop, gadgets and everything. So it is very important to accept that, okay, now upcoming generation will have more use of laptop and screen. So the more acceptance we get about it, more we'll able to work upon it, then only we'll able to schedule timetable for your screen time. Because right now there is zero acceptance about the screen time used by kids or children, but children are actually seeing my parents are using the same thing, so why not to use? And second important thing, we have to give them a more important and more fun thing than laptop or a mobile. So for a kid or a student, they feel mobile or a laptop is most interesting thing, whether it's a game, chatting or anything, social media. They don't find anything more interesting in that than that chatting or a laptop, Instagram, social media. Hence, they prefer to go back to mobile again and again. So your basic theory is that try to give some more interesting and important activity to a children than the mobile activity. If they feel like going out makes them more happy and relaxed, if we repeat the same behavior, automatic child will less addicted to a screen because he feel more interested in playing a football. So that interest as a parent we have to develop in the kids instead of just saying no, but to give a replacement for that no.
Yeah, very, 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 very important. I think what you're saying is that just don't advise them to play sports. Take them to the sports ground,
Yes.
right?
So you
So,
have to give a replacement. Only saying no,
correct,
then they are clueless what to do next. You are saying no, what to do now. So
correct, correct. Yeah,
replacement parents should get, and also the acceptance that yes, screen time is going to increase in upcoming generation because it is almost like a basic need. You will not find a person without mobile.
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, very, very. I mean, I think I really approach. I mean, liked your approach. That yes, accept it. It's going to be a part of their life, and then maybe then create options as to how they can use it more constructively.
Exactly.
Which I mean, they cannot avoid it, right? Yes, thank you so much. And you're doing a lot of work on this in terms of organizing workshops and stuff like that. Yeah. Okay, good luck to you. Okay, now let me come to the career side of it. Like, let us have that particular discussion. So, how do you see psychology as an education? The quality of that education, that I also get a lot of feedback from parents that, or even as a higher education consultant, I keep evaluating curriculums from different universities. And the challenge which we are coming up is that most of our Indian universities have not changed their curriculums for quite some time, and therefore the quality of the program is in question. If when I graduate and go out in the market, I may not have the right state of knowledge. So, how do you evaluate this whole? I mean, evaluate this whole scenario. And today, according to you, which are the universities or programs that are the most, I would say, contemporary, working on the contemporary curriculums and approaches?
Yeah. So if you talk about this, the curriculum, it's not only about the psychology, but if you see most of field, like you take a engineering or you take architecture, you take mass media, nowadays in the recent time, they have shifted to more practical oriented hands-on hand experience. Initially, it was like a theory oriented experience in any field. So same thing was happening with the psychology. So recent time I read now they are, in their education curriculum, they're adding more of Indian psychology, Indian theories. So when I never learn anything from an Indian psychotherapist or Indian psychology or Indian therapy concept, although are great concept. So now they are approaching to a more Indian ancient therapies or techniques, like one of the techniques is Buddhism technique, for example. So they are approaching more, they are giving more of an internship part, which is a practical experience, because specifically in the field of psychology, you cannot predict anything. Like every human being is different. Until you are in the field and you are seeing 100 people, then only you can make some estimate or some judgment. So that's why it's very important to have a more practical orientation approach. And now they are upcoming with the new program. So if I take to take an example of Amity University, or there's a Christ University or Niman's College, or in Mumbai there's SNDT or Mumbai University, are the one of the best college to have a psychology as a program.
Okay, okay. So, so when as a student, if I have to take up a psychology, then what is that I need to look for when choosing the program or the university, whether in India or abroad? What should be as a homework or a research? What is that I'm supposed to do as a student?
Correct. So first, before choosing a field psychology, it is very important, again, as I said earlier, to have an aptitude to work with the human, right? To help people, or to have certain approaches like, problem solving approach or having empathy. It's okay to listen every time about the problems, right? Any person who is coming to a psychologist or a therapist, he will not say good things. Mostly will say some problem things. So to be more self-aware about your emotion, this is something you can start from your school life or early college. Another part where we need to work on how authentic course you are doing, because there are a lot of courses in the market which are available for 2 months, 3 months. So that part we need to work on, so we can get a better graduates in the future in the field of psychology. Another thing student needs to work on, they can read a lot of from websites, and they can uh, read about the different therapy practices, so they will understand whether they are really feeling interesting or it's a temporary thing. Just to, I like to read people mind, or I like to do a face reading, or I just like to talk with people. It's beyond that. So that need to understand, people need to understand, or rather student needs to understand.
Okay, okay, thank you. So, like suppose if I'm a if I'm a student who's already into a psychology program, right? So, what are other things I need to do? Yes, you mentioned about the internships, but other things that I'm supposed to do to acquire a better quality of knowledge, to
Yes.
keep myself more at par of the contemporary world or the challenges. What is that? What kind of an approach I need to have as a student?
So specifically, if I want to talk about in India, minimum we have to do the masters in a psychology, any specialization you can choose. That is number one. Either it is a clinical or industrial, whatever you want. Also, if you want to keep updated about your latest trends and latest thing, you have to do a lot of psychotherapy courses from authentic universities, authentic institute, not something which is like a 1 day course or something which will give accreditation and certification with the universities or with institute like Albert Ellis Institute in New York, or Aaron Beck for CBT. Like this courses, if you do, you will have in-depth knowledge about the therapy and implementation part, like actual world facing a people will be more easier.
Okay, okay, okay. Good, good. So my next question to you is that what are these some kind of specific qualifications or accreditations that make psychology course more credible and valuable in the job market apart from my basic degree, whether it's a bachelor degree or a master's degree?
So you have to do the MPhil or a PhD or a PsyD. Okay, so this further education, like having a what you call PhD in the psychology or MPhil. Also, if you can try for a RCI licensing, again there are a lot of misconception. Also, there is no fixed law to how to get RCI, but these are the better ideas to get more job opportunities and put yourself in the safe place.
Okay, okay, okay. Now you mentioned about MPhil, and I would like to ask you that recently there has been a lot of challenges around MPhil. recently UGC came on board saying that they're not going to support MPhil as accreditation, as a qualification, and which is a big blow to the community, psychologist community or budding psychologist community. Now, in under such circumstances, when I have no option to do MPhil, which was very very credible accreditation to start a practice, to get that contemporary practice environment, before I start. So at this point in time, so what are the options available with the student when MPhil is going to go away?
So now they are planning to do like a graduation and plus one more year of MPhil to get the RCI, BSc, and then RCI. So this is what they are just saying as a Rehabilitation Council of India, but yet there is no any fixed announcement about it because there are a lot of questions and doubt for existing psychologists who are practicing it. Also, BSc 4 years course will not be enough to recognize someone with the RCI. Hence, it is still under the observation, under the process to take a final call. But what I feel personally, RCI is a best practice to have. RCI is the best, licensing is the best, and it will help all the psychologists to come under Anurop. But more than it is important how authentic you are practicing without RCI or with RCI. So students who are worried about RCI, yes, it's very natural to feel worried about it, but it's more important how authentic you are able to practice you in your day-to-day life as a psychotherapist.
Okay.
So
Okay.
RCI will come or will not come, but it is more important how you are practicing and how you are able to work on your knowledge and how you are able to help people basically. So any patient or a client will not ask whether you are RCI or not. They will ask how better you are treating me.
Good. Okay. I think so. They will come out with some kind of a
Yes.
alternative to MPhil. This is what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah. But at the same time, as a student, I think we need to prepare ourselves more as a practitioner by taking more internships and doing more on the field job rather than just having a qualification. This is what you're saying. Maybe I just wanted to ask you, like, there are certain international, I would say, organizations like APC, right? How does that accreditation or being a member of APC helps to the psychologists?
Yeah, American Psychological Association. Yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely doing their courses or doing their webinars helps, to understand and concept and to get updated about latest trends. So that's the way that can help.
Okay. So you can be more in
Yes.
tune with
And
what
more
is
with
happening in
yeah,
the world. Yeah.
yes, yes. So
And it
there,
is APA, not APC. Sorry,
yes.
my mistake. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 Fine. Okay. So I have a degree. I am maybe a master's in psychology, etc. So what are my kind of career paths? What are the kind of typical roles can I do? I mean, apart from, because when it comes to psychology, the very obvious thing that comes to our mind is, okay, you practice, you start your practice, start counseling sessions, maybe deal with students or deal with adults or whatever. But I mean, are there any other options?
Yes. So one of the practices having your own practice, maybe for us kids or students or for adults or any population. The other aspect as a career aspect in the psychology, it can be you can be work with the schools, you can work with the industries or a corporate, you can work with the forensic branches or where the criminal cases has been solved or some with the neuro psychiatric clinic where you can work as a neuropsychologist who will work with the brain and related functions. So these are the emerging field of psychology you can think of working. Also the in a hiring process, for example, if you want to hire in your company now, psychometric tests are one of the mandatory things to hire or recruit. So there you can work. So these are the different paths you can follow or think about.
So you're talking about psychometricians.
Yeah.
So people who have, I mean, it can be a interdisciplinary approach or interdisciplinary career path where you are good in statistics, mathematics, and at the same time psychology. Oh, okay. So people who are into liberal education, or who are doing their degrees from liberal universities can have a tremendous opportunity to pursue mathematics, statistics, and psychology together.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
We do a
Right.
lot of pre and post test in the psychology research field.
Right.
So
Right.
which basically observe the human behavior, and you can observe human behavior in any circumstances. So this is where a psychometric test plays a major role, like how the behavior is different in the pre scenario and how it is different in a post. So this is a very nice field and interesting, and there are a lot of scope about it because we can use this test anywhere in any situation.
Okay. I would like to ask you one very confronting question, Anuradha, which my student asked me that, sir, we need to earn good money. Is there a good money in psychology?
Yes. If I want to talk specifically for an Indian setup like India, yes, there's a lot of hard. If you compare any IT field or any other field which gives you a lot of money at the early stage of your career, yes, psychology does not pay you that well, at least in India, because again there is an awareness which is coming in last 4 5 years. So yes, you have to struggle hard to settle and get good money at the initial phase, but if you can, then you will have a really great success or a great career path.
Okay. So maybe as of now, what you're saying is that as of now, psychologists are underpaid,
Yeah,
but
definitely
uh,
underpaid.
but abroad they're well paid. This is what you're suggesting. So in that case, how these why is that so? I mean, is that their education system is different, or or is it that the per capita income in those countries is much higher than the Indian population? What is the main factor?
Yes. So for the major factor is your curriculum, and second factor is people aware about the field. So these two factors plays a major role why people or a psychologist are underpaid, because many time people are not aware this such field is there and you can need a therapy or you need a mental health expert. So now in India people are aware and they want to talk, or they want to take a talk therapy basically, or do something in a psychology. So now near future is really good, but right now definitely many psychologists feel that they are underpaid, or unless they are having their own private practice or something like, they have years of experience.
Okay, okay, okay. But I mean, nowadays, for example, psychologists are underpaid. Maybe I accept that in the initial years.
Most of
But what are the other career options for a psychologist? For example, like can they eventually get into the ICF kind of International Coaching Federation kind of an accreditation where they can move and do maybe work with corporates, do CXO coaching, etc., etc. I mean, I think they can really, or maybe they can look for training, look for psycho. I mean, becoming psychometrician. Maybe I think these new branches like sports psychology can
yes.
really help them pay more well, right?
Yes, in fact, doing something related to HR, labor law, which is again related to human and their
Yes.
behavior. Something like that, they can, merge together, to start a good practice. Also doing this life coaching or wellness coaching. So these are the again good branches or good ideas to build yourself as a psychologist apart from your regular curriculum.
Okay.
Or a soft skill, again one of the good option where there are a lot of soft skill training which happens in a corporate. So again it's related to human emotions and their behavior pattern, and how to work on the soft skill to improve your productivity in a workplace. So again, there's a psychologist, they can take a more in-depth knowledge to choose a similar career path.
Yeah, and I see again a huge scope in training industry because there are very few people. I mean, there are very less percentage of people who have a psychology as their background. But if psychologists decide to develop their capacities, I think they can really do a wonderful job in the training space, according to me. Acha, since we are talking about roles, Anuradha, let me talk about something. Uh, do you have any success story in your known circle where someone has, I mean, being a psychologist who has pursued very unconventional kind of a path in the field of psychology?
Yes, so I would like to give a name of Dr. Shubha Thatte. She has almost 40 years of experience, 35 plus for sure. And she,
No, I think more, Anuradha, if I'm correct, maybe 60 years, I'm sure, for sure. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
so
She's
50
now
years
around
you can,
85. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, around 85. Yeah, yeah. 60 years of experience.
She's
Yes.
like one of the best example, to pursue field as a psychology because when she started, people were not at all aware of psychology, what is psychology, what actually happens in the psychology. There was no more proper curriculum about the psychology. But she has worked in a various field like recruiting, then actually practicing as a clinician, taking a workshop, taking a training. So I feel she can be a great example, to have or consider as a success story.
I just wanted to ask you that what's the future now? What is that you look forward, and what kind of changes do you see in the field of future of psychology, especially what kind of trends or changes are there on the horizon, and which I think student need to take, I mean, need to be aware of.
Yes. So as we all know that AI has taken or artificial intelligence has taken over every part and every technology or every part of our life. Yeah. So we need to be more updated about how the technology part can help us, to understand human brain, human emotions, and human minds. And if you want to talk about the scope, still in India, for per 1 lakh almost people, there's one psychologist available, and that's a sad. So you understand the scope. So I would like to take my own example. Like I belong to a very small town from Maharashtra, and when I decided a decade back that I want to pursue field psychology as a field, that time there's only one psychiatrist for entire district, and I think almost right now it is the same status. Like for district, there's only one mental health professional who is known, or maybe one,
Oh,
two more. Yeah. So understand how much less people are there in the field, and you can understand how vast scope you have as a student or a budding psychologist in the field.
so let me ask you the question what you said. You mentioned about psychiatry, which
Yes.
is the medical branch,
Yes.
right? And psychology, which is not is a
No.
non-medical branch. Okay, but psychiatrist and uh,
Psychology.
psychologists, and especially the clinical psychologist or a neuropsychologist, they can close very closely with psychiatrist.
Yes.
So, can you just shed more light on what is psychiatry, what psychiatrists do for our general awareness, and how clinical psychologists can work very closely with the psychiatrist?
So basically, both work with your mind, emotion, and behavioral thoughts, whether it's a psychiatrist or a psychologist. Difference is psychiatrist has an MBBS and MD degree in a psychiatry, and a psychologist is a master's, MSc or a MA, and then MPhil in the field. So basically, a psychologist will work on more of a behavioral and thought process or emotional evaluation or well-being with by using a therapy techniques and understanding in the diagnostic purpose with the psychometric testing. And the psychiatrist will give a medicine to deal with the neurotransmitter neurological changes, which because of that a person goes through any emotional disturbances.
Okay.
In a simpler way, a doctor help with the medicine, a therapist help with the talk therapy to make it little easier.
So you talked about AI and it's impacting, I mean, every aspect of our life. Okay, so these technologies are facilitating our life so well. Uh, so can you just expand more on this side as to what role AI can play and how psychology as a branch will yet remain very relevant even if the technologies are coming forward?
Yes. So basically, as I said earlier, in psychology, we study about the human brain or a human mind. So understanding a human brain is one of the complicated and difficult tasks, whether you are a medical or a from related field. So now how the AI or this artificial intelligence will help is that to get a more accuracy when we do a diagnostic test, will minimize the human error which can happen while doing test done by a human. Also, it will give us more accuracy about brain functioning. behavior also set up, like where we have to see the behavior, extreme personalities, or extreme criminal behavior pattern. We need to understand how that person brain is functioning. So that's where AI will help. But again, AI or such technology cannot replace psychologist or a mental health expert, because AI will tell us that a fixed answer, right? But when it's come to a human or human psychology, human emotions, it's very difficult to predict. I will give a small example. For example, if you go on a holiday and every member from the family wants to enjoy holiday different way. Why it is happening? There is no fixed way. Everyone will enjoy in a similar way. Someone wants to just stay in room. Someone wants to go on a different places. Someone to try a food. Someone to communicate, make new friends. So this is happening because human emotions are different from person to person. That's where I feel uniqueness of a psychologist or a mental health professional plays a role apart from the AI.
Right, very good. And yeah, what you says is that yes, so it's not going to lose its sheen, okay, even if AI is coming in, but maybe you can embrace AI, maybe facilitate AI in your own practice, right? Learn little, so make AI your friend, not enemy. Okay, okay. Now, Anuradha, again, this is very common question which I encounter. Uh, that people they somehow realize over a period of time, maybe they have graduated in some other branch, and then there is maybe a inner calling, okay, and they feel that they have made a wrong choice, they didn't go went for a career assessment, and now they feel that they maybe they would like to pursue psychology.
Yes.
Okay. So for such people, and let me tell you, there's a huge demand, and for such people, unfortunately, we don't have much options available in the traditional universities. But then, according to you, what are the options for these kind of people?
Yes. So definitely, as I say, there are certain therapy institutes, which allow people from not psychology background. So maybe they can consider doing this courses or therapy levels like level 1, 2, 3. For example, EFT is there or something like that. So they that can help them to be more aware about them. But again, choosing it as a full-fledged career, I will suggest to go with the authentic certification or authentic graduation or something like that, because that's what right now happening. People are doing the small diplomas in the counseling or some soft skill training or something, and they consider themselves as a psychologist or as a counselor, and they fail in the actual field because they don't have depth knowledge. For example, why there are 5 years of MBBS? Because you know, learn the anatomy and then you jump to the actual field. Similarly, you are dealing with the human mind. Anything you are going to say, it is going to be sensitive. So my suggestion to the audience will be that you go with the authentic courses, and the small short-term courses will not help you that much. If you do a proper graduation or some similar level course, then you can consider or pursue it as a full-time career change.
Okay. So, will you advise? Because I think Mumbai University also offer distant courses,
Like IGNOU.
master's courses, graduate courses in the field of psychology, or even IGNOU, or
Yes.
even there are, I mean, almost all reputed universities, I mean, mainstream universities also offer the distance courses. So, how would you like to comment on these courses, and what else can they do while they are pursuing these courses?
So there's a huge difference in the curriculum and practical approach than doing a regular thing and doing it as a distance. So they need to go under more therapeutic techniques, more internship part, more taking a hand-on training, how to deal with the client or a corporate training for that matter. So they'll take a more time, but it is not impossible thing to do. But yes, again, to build that confidence to deal with day-to-day life actual with the humans or a people, they need a lot of practice before changing. Because if you talk about any other field, the theory or a concept is going to same. But here, if you're learning about one theory, for example, a theory of any psychologist or a scientist, right? It will not implement exactly to everyone. Like Sigmund Freud is very common, popular example, right? So you know the theory from your curricular, but it will not exactly apply on everyone. But most of the other field has that there's a theory concept and it applies exactly by the AI, where the like the concept of coding or anything. So it is very important to understand this theory or any practice on human behavior. It will differ from person to person. Hence, it is difficult to change as a psychology as a second career path.
So you are saying that that is possible. Only
Mhm.
thing is that you'll have to go and maybe do more efforts
Yeah.
to get into. I'm just a little curious. I mean, though MPhil is like as it is gone or it's going, and something new will come in place. So suppose if someone who pursue his degree from maybe Mumbai University on a distance mode, can they otherwise? I'm just curious to understand. Are eligible to do MPhil if MPhil would have been there?
Yes, masters is eligibility criteria, and then they have to
Right.
give the exam for specific universities.
Okay.
Now, how we have the NEET or JEE for engineering and medical respectively. So likewise for MPhil, they have the entrance exam apart from your master's marks.
Okay. Okay. Very recently, I mean, unfortunately, I think we should have those kind of curriculums in India because very recently, one of my students, I placed her in the UK, and in UK they have a degree, full-fledged, proper degree, master's degree, which which is called as a convergent degree.
Okay.
Okay, so it's kind of a foundation skill. Okay, so 1 year they will, I mean, you, for example, you want to become, say, clinical psychologist, and
Mhm.
you are from, say, BCom background. Okay, you go take the conversion degree for 1 year. It will be a like kind of a foundation degree. They
Mhm.
will, they will. It's a crash course, so they'll just build all your capacities which are essential for a psychologist, and then you go and maybe next year you can do your degree in clinical psychology
Mhm.
or sports psychology or behavioral psychology or whatever. Yeah, so that I think those kind of degrees will really help us here in India because there's a larger population who wants to get into this particular field. And as you rightly pointed out, that behind 1 lakh people, there's only one psychologist. So it's this big demand. It's a big demand. Yeah. Right. Yes. Okay. So let me ask you, as we are coming towards the end of our program, but I know I want to have advice, some of the advice for student, for example, high schoolers, who are considering career in psychology. What kind of an advice would you like to give them? What is that they need to do in their day-to-day life?
Yes. So, this is something if you want to pursue course as a psychology in the future, one of the things which you need to work on is on your emotional intelligence. Many a time or most of us are focused on the IQ that of an individual. So EQ is how you are emotionally well equipped to understand and express your emotions. So that part, if you can work at a student life, it will help more to understand human behavior, human reactions, human emotions. Apart from that, what you can practice is being more self-aware about your emotions, so you're able to aware about others' emotion. So this is something you can practice. Practice, as I said earlier, communication. Then try to understand your personality, your liking in the field, because psychology is such a vast field. Not everyone will like to work in the psychiatric rehab. There are people who will just like to deal with the normal problem like a stress. So you have to choose which is your comfort zone in the field of psychology. That's something you can visit different companies or a clinic setup to understand more about it. And as a parent, we should support our children to talk more about the emotions and the EQ level, irrespective whether they are taking psychology as a field or not.
Yes.
Every time we ask that what marks you got in the last exam, but we failed to ask how you failed about after exam. So the EQ part of it. So that will help us to get more budding good psychologist.
Yeah, and again, emotional intelligence. We had a full-fledged session on emotional intelligence some few weeks back,
Okay.
and it's considered as a mm, success predictor. They are saying the research is supporting that as much as 85% of your life success can come from emotional intelligence. It's a very, very critical skill, whether you take it I mean,
Field
in
or
the
not.
field of psychology or not. Yeah. Yes, very, very good. So now, since we are on the suggestion side of it, so I mean, how can you suggest parents? I mean, what advice will you give to the parents? And when they showcase their desire to pursue their careers in psychology.
Yes. So if we talk about the traditional path, like there's always a, if it's a boy, it's an engineer and girl is a doctor, like basic. Like, but now there are a lot of options available. And as I said earlier, that if you see that for 1 lakh people is a one psychologist or maybe two mental health professional with a psychiatrist and other factors are available. So understand the need of a field is going to increase, which we have seen in a recent example of COVID lockdown. We have seen a lot of case of anxiety in our neighborhood, in our family itself. So yes, psychology is going to a great field in the future because people need it. It's just that people are not aware about the field, and maybe, as I said, low pay scale. Maybe that's the reason people sometimes get scared. But yes, if you make a success in the field, you can have a great achievement.
What are the common misconception about studying or working in psychology?
Uh, yes, so common misconception is that, oh, it's like a talking to friend only. So what is the difference in talking to a psychologist? So that difference people need to understand. Also, people don't, at least in India, people are not that accepted to pay just to talk. Like they are not giving anything. So that approach little bit needs to change. Yes, there are people who are aware and accepting that it helps, it works, but there are many people who feel that talking how it will help. So that misconception needs to break. Also, working as a psychologist in a future, there are a lot of misconception that, oh, she or he might get mad, or they will be working only with the mad people, right? So that misconception has to break. Also, another misconception is that if you do a short-term course, as I said, like some 2 months course or some fancy course, and then you will consider yourself as a psychologist, then it's a wrong, because almost we are spending 5 to 6 years minimum, and then PhD, MPhil, or whatever time it will take, right? So it's not that easy. So we people really need to take it seriously. Just giving advice on a social media or such platform is different than talking to a psychologist.
So another, I mean, as people, we are much worried about our physical health. Say today, I have a temperature, and even if it is not very severe, I have no problem in going and talking to doctor or seeking his help. But I have seen that there are a lot of mental health challenges. People just don't open up. They feel very shy to seek help
Yes.
from psychologists. So what advice, and it's so critical, it's so, I mean, that can really impact their life to an extent that only I mean, we should not talk about all those things, but uh, that can really cost dear to them. So what advice will you tell them? What kind of I would say, indication if one has, or symptoms we can say, what kind of symptoms if you see, you should not hesitate and go and seek help, because it is, as your physical health is important, your mental health is also important. So what advice will you give to,
So I
I mean,
would
in
like
general? Yeah.
So I'd like to take a recent example of one of case. When I did a psychometric testing with that client, and he was diagnosed with severe anxiety and some bipolar, one of the mental health condition diagnosed with that, and suggested him to start a medicine about it, because only a therapy will not help. You need a sometime medicine for severe mental health condition. So the client replied to me, "Oh, I'll go on a vacation, and then after I'll come with the next 1 month, and then I'll maybe think about if taking a medicine." So now this is what the approach in the society about the mental health. Now imagine if that client had a cholesterol report or some other physical condition report. would you have dared to go 1 month out of town to travel, right? Because still people consider that mental health can be treated by traveling, watching a movie, talking to a friend, right? So this is example can make you understand that how people are maybe not aware, or maybe aware but lesser acceptance that I need a help. So if you want to see that if you are going through some mental health problem, as you asked, the symptom part, what you can focus on or see is that if your daily routine is difficult to manage your daily routine, problem in concentrating, focusing your daily tasks, you're procrastinating or postponing your daily tasks, there is a lot of loneliness or extreme aggressiveness in your day-to-day life with your family members. That's something you can see. There's an extreme change in your mood. Some you suddenly get happy, suddenly feel angry, suddenly you get impulsive, or there's extreme weight loss or weight gain, change in your appetite pattern, or in some cases having extreme self-harm thought, or no addiction towards some form of a substance like alcohol or cigarette, it has increased. So I personally feel that if you find a smaller symptom like not managing your daily routine or sleep again, then you should not hesitate till it get a bigger problem or a diagnostic problem. It's always okay to go and see that how symptom is affecting me and is it a sign of any disorder. Also, all people who come to a psychologist or psychiatrist are not mad. They can only work on their behavior and emotion.
Yes, very, very critical, very critical. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, I mean, today's generation are dealing with multiple set of problems. I mean, managing relationship is one. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's very common, you're breaking off with your partner, you're fighting, you have pressure, exam pressure and performance pressure, everything, right? Even adults, who are working with corporate, you have extreme, I mean, you deal with extreme deadlines where you don't get to sleep, etc. So this is very important, as you were saying that, we should not ignore these kind of symptoms
Yes.
and must deal with them as important as physical
Right.
health challenges.
Yes, how you do a physical checkup once in a year or a 6 month maybe, or like that, I will suggest to do some basic psychometric tests or just to visit a mental health expert to understand what is my personality, areas where I'm facing a problem. So it will not end up into some big mental health disorder and it is into the workable condition, like manageable condition.
Correct, correct. On the contrary, you can actually use it in a very positive way and really improve your performances. Yeah, it's not only is always about negative thing, but you can
Yes.
even understand your strength through psychometrics
Absolutely.
and actually work so well in your life, in your
Yes.
career. Yeah.
Yes.
So just to end our discussion, what kind of resources will you really advise, Anuradha, that I mean, the kind of books I need to be reading, or I mean, are there any webinars, etc.? Are there any channels? APA, we talked about APA.
Yes.
So, what are these resources? Some of the resources which you would like to advise or rather tell our students and parents, everyone.
Definitely. So there are a lot of website like a Psychology Today or something like which keep updating about the small techniques for a daily life problem. Also, they have different workshop for a general population, not the students who are pursuing or a psychologist, but who just want to understand about, for example, emotional intelligence, or they want to understand how to build resilience. So such websites are available, who gives almost a free courses. And then there are professional companies who give such course like Coursera is there, for example, or Udemy. So these websites are there which can help you to build your knowledge.
Okay. Thank you so much, Anuradha. It's been almost 1 hour that we have discussed, I think, a lot. We also talked about various roles people can take and what kind of career option do they have. Just to end, how is the life of a psychologist on a day-to-day basis?
Yes. So as I'm practicing for many years, right, it is important to keep my mental health equilibrium at intact whenever dealing with the human behavior and their emotions. So any case or any study or any client need or demand their expression should not or try not to affect at a personal level. So this is a basic funda when you are in the field, because we are humans and we get easily attached and or detached with the human expression, human experiences. So it is very important, to keep that boundary. Oh, that is a case study and that's not about my personal life. So also understanding my personality traits where, these are the my problematic areas or these are my strengths, that also help me as a psychologist in my day-to-day life. Also, practicing some mindfulness techniques help me to keep my mind sound most of the.
Yeah, good, good. Thank you. So you are, I mean, thank you so much. I liked it so well. You're saying that, I'm a psychologist, not that, I'm a sorted. Even I need to practice psychology in my day-to-day life. I also need to take care of my own mental health. So that's a big takeaway, Anuradha.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Here, only one more point I would like to add is that
Yes.
as a mental health professional or as a medical or any field, sometimes we also can need a therapy or such things. So that acceptance needs to come in the community, I feel. Although we know the all the therapies and all the techniques, it's okay. Sometimes we're not able to implement those techniques, and it's okay to happen like this. So that acceptance needs to come because people have the expectation, oh, you are a psychologist, so you will always under control of your emotions. So it's not good.
Yes, 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 absolutely. I think couple of times you use this keyword, which is acceptance. I think, the acceptance can be the starting point of everything.
Yes.
If you really want to move ahead, accept it where you are or whatever, right? So acceptance. So that's my biggest takeaway. I know today is that the acceptance and look for acceptance all around you. Okay, thank you so much, Anuradha. It was fantastic talking to you, and you have taken or rather responded so well in your very, very easy language for us to understand such a complex subject topic. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Anuradha.